So this video is going to demonstrate center short rows that start narrow at the bottom and get wider at the top. You can find all of the details, including a written pattern for how to do this with some photos and tables on my blog, which I will post in the link below this YouTube clip. So what I've started off with is 2 rows of 20 stitches, so chain 20 and a foundation row of 20 loops on the hook, just in Tunisian simple stitch, and then a second row on top of that also with 20 loops. So for making the first center short row, we're going to start by picking up 11 stitches or 11 TSS. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 8 loops unworked, so we don't pick up any of them. So there's the edge stitch, so that counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we have 12 on our hook because we picked up 11 and we had an edge stitch that starts off. So when you're working center short rows, you may want to use markers to help keep track of where you're up to. So I've just placed a marker around the front and the back loops of the stitch. So essentially, if I took my hook out and pulled on that yarn, it would the marker would just fall off. Okay, so that is the forward pass short row, and now we're going to work the return pass short row. For my method of short rows, don't do the chain 1 that you normally would. So we start with a yarn over pull through 2, and we're going to do that 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. So we should have 9 loops on our hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Now this is the live loop here. That's because it's the one that's attached to the working yarn. Okay, and we're going to pop a marker just on that live loop. Okay, so that is the first short row finished. So now we're going to do the second short row, which is row 4, so row 4 forward pass. And we're going to start by picking up 5 stitches. Now in the pattern, I've explained that we're going to TSS up to the marker. So we'll do a bit of counting and I'll explain. Okay, so we've got 1 and 2. Now remember, we need to do 5. Okay, now the third, we're going to pick up the marked stitch using the back and the front loops of that stitch. So we can pull on this marker so that it's easier to see where those stitches go, and just pop the hook through, yarn over and pull that up. So that is the third loop that we've picked up, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to pick up 2 more. So there's that marked stitch, so we go down to here. 1 and 2. Okay, so on each side, on the left and the right, no matter if you're left or right-handed, we're working an extra 2 stitches than we did on the row before. So I've just taken that marker out and I'm going to pop it on the front and back loops of that edge stitch, the last stitch worked. Okay, so that is the 4th row, or the second short row, okay, finished for the forward pass. And now we're going to do the short row return pass, which is row 4 return pass. Okay, so we're going to yarn over pull through 2 until we get to the marked stitch. Now on the table in the pattern, you'll see it's yarn over pull through 2 7 times, okay? But I want you to understand how to work with markers, which is why I've included both options. So we're going to yarn over pull through 2, and I will count. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we're up to the marked stitch, and now we're going to work the crossed or the twisted return pass stitch. So watch closely of my other videos, the forward and return pass short rows, just for more details on the technique. But we take our hook out of the working yarn, the live loop, and we pick up the stitch directly under the marked stitch, and then hook back through that live loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Okay, then we're going to yarn over pull through 2 more times. Let's bring that, I'll take that marker off. Yarn over, pull through 2, 1 and 2. Okay, so that is the second short row completely finished. So there's the first one under there, and there's the second one on top. It's basically making a hump. So I'm popping my marker back into that live loop. Okay, now we're up to our third short row, which is row 5 in the pattern. And we're going to TSS up to the marker, into the marker, and then 2 more, which is a total of 9. Okay, so 1, 2, and I'm picking up both loops of that cross stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the 7th one is into the marked stitch. So the front and the back loops, which is the loops that are marked. That's number 7. Take that marker out. 2 more. 1 and 2. And remember, that's because we're working short rows that get 2 stitches wider on every side. So we're moving the marker up, front and back loops. You don't have to work with markers, but it's a good thing to do when you're learning. Okay, so that is the third short row forward pass finish, which is row 5 forward pass. And now we will do our return pass, which is going to be 11 yarn over, pull through 2. Sorry, I looked at the wrong number. Okay, so the 11 will bring us past this one here. So we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 until we get to the marked stitch. Then we work to the crossed stitch, and then we do 2 more after that. Okay, so yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the 9th one is the crossed stitch. So hook out, pick up the loop under the marked stitch, and then hook back into the live loop. Okay, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And 1 more. Sorry, 2 more. 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm going to pop my marker into that live loop again. All right, so there's our rows finished. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work row 6. Now notice that we still have some loops on our hook. So these loops become the forward pass, or part of the forward pass of row 6. Okay, and I'll show you. So we're going to pick up all of the loops along. Now remember, I'm up to a crossed stitch here. You can see that because it's a bit bumpy and there's 2 loops. Put your hook through both loops. Okay, and we're going to TSS all the way to the end. So when we pick up the edge stitch right at the end, we're going to have 20 loops on our hook again. So here I'm up to that marked stitch again. So hook underneath the 2 loops that are marked and draw it up. You can get rid of the marker now. You won't need that one again. Okay. Now just make sure that you don't pick up this one that's underneath here. We're moving on to the next stitch. So that edge stitch, see, it's directly on top of these ones here. You don't want to add another one in by picking up here. Skipped over to this one. TSS all the way to the end. Okay, I have 20 on my hook, and see I still have 1 more marked stitch there, so I need to do 1 more crossed stitch on this row. So now we're up to a standard return pass. So we started off with a chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the end, and I will finish this whole swatch on the video just so that you can compare yours to mine. Okay, so I'm up to the marked stitch. So hook out of the live loop, pick up the loop, the vertical bar under the marked stitch, and then back into the live loop, yarn over, pull through 3, and you can get rid of that. Yarn over, pull through 2 until we get to the end. Now just to even it up, I like to have 2 full rows top and bottom of my short rows. So I've only got one here, so I will work reasonably quickly. Okay, so I'm up to, there's that crossed stitch again, hook under both loops, and this is just a standard row all the way to the end, and I am working pretty much at my standard pace here. So if Tunisian simple stitch is a brand new thing for you, I wouldn't recommend watching this video as your guidance, because this is about short rows, so you want to skip to basic tutorials if that is your jam. Okay, so standard return pass again. I did a chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2, all the way to the end. You can see you get a nice rhythm there, and I'll just work that bind off row. So slip stitch, bind off, hook under the vertical bar, yarn over, pull through 2, a bit of curling there, sorry about that. Okay, almost there, and I'll show you the finished product. I've made this swatch a couple of times, so I've already cut my yarn. Okay, lucky. Okay, so there is our fully completed swatch of short rows, center short rows that start narrow and get wider. So just explain that on the edges here, you'll only see 4 rows. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the same on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4. If yours don't match, then there's something wrong. You need to frog and start again. Okay, but in the middle, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's the 7 full rows that are in the instructions on my blog. And so you'll see by center short rows, those middle ones don't come out to the edges at all. And remember that we're working the techniques used in a forward pass short row, which finishes over here, and the techniques used in a return pass short row, which finish over here with those crossed stitches. So you can just see. But look, this is my favorite technique for working center short rows, regardless of what kind of yarn you're using, just because it generally plugs up the little holes that you get. You do get a slight hole on the end of the forward pass as compared to the end of the return pass, but I think it's quite subtle, and I've just used this technique in a garment using 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, and it is so subtle you can't see them at all. Yeah, so any questions or comments, please pop them on the blog or on the YouTube link, and I will get back to you. But yeah, I hope you enjoy learning about center short rows. Thanks.